Hello, everyone.
Jacketing
here. Fuck you. Welcome to a new program that we're trying to see. We're trying to experiment. We're trying to.
It's more like finding things to do when you're off season. You really don't have any racing for like 4 months.
And yeah, the off season this year is particularly long, and I know you guys have been bored for content. And so we're gonna try this. We're gonna call it. I was gonna call it the
Fling
ding.
was a ding.
The ding fling, but I don't know how that show name is gonna turn out. This is, I guess, if anything, like a weekend chat with the bro and discuss some of the things that you guys have questions for us to talk about. So we're gonna kick off this episode, the entire series, with a big one that everybody keeps asking us. Which one would you pick, Alex, as a track car? The red Supra? Or would you pick a new BMW M2? That's a big question. Everybody asks us because, you know, we're obviously we had the experience with both of these cars for a little bit now. Supra we had for 4 or 5 years at this point. That car is in year 2-ish now?
1.5.
1.5.
Yeah.
Starting season 2, technically. So we have a little bit of experience on both, and we get to try and explore some of their flaws, some of their greatness, and compare and contrast a little bit. Try to give you guys some ideas on which one we like more and which one you guys might want to buy.
Well, for me, it's going to be simple. I'm just going to quote myself.
Yes.
Back from late 2019 when we did the F87 versus Supra.
Yes.
If you want a BMW, why not buy like an actual BMW? Rest in peace, that car, but...
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that car.
Like
that car,
I still don't know, if you want a BMW, buy an actual BMW over there. Personally, to me, is I always loved the F87, and then obviously I was the one that went to dealership and grabbed our G87 from me. So to me, that's like a much better car to me in terms of like.
Than the Supra?
Hear me out.
Okay.
Okay.
Whew. Spicy.
Better engine, roughly the same transmission, a little bit heavier, yes, but has better tire from the factory, dampers better tuned from the factory for track use, a lot more interior space. Because I don't fit in the Supra.
You don't.
And
people 6 feet and above do have issues. Trying to put a racing bucket seat in the Supra is pretty tight.
You have like so much more room in the M2. And also the other thing that people don't realize is if a track car, there's a lot of things that the Supra is absolutely better. But in the M2, when I'm jumping, you get a lot better visibility.
Yes.
The electronic calibration is much more, like track friendly, if that's the right word.
Track oriented. And also just like, I did some really stupid speed on the highway when I'm picking up the car coming back. That car?
Yeah, when it's like bone stock. It was just like that good, out of the box, right? So
didn't you go pick it up with your wife?
Yes. Yeah, I did some pretty stupid. So to me, it's like that's like a better car for me, what I like, in terms of like, what I can expect a kind of track in the daily hybrid type of car.
Alex is a slightly bigger gentleman, shall we say. Not just vertically, but also horizontally.
Yeah, a little bit.
So he needs that little plushness extra a little bit. It's like, okay, I do agree with you. I think the S58 is a better motor than the B58 because they made it better, right? That they have to make it better.
It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be better. Yeah. It's just how it is. I think once you start modifying like to an crazy extreme, it doesn't really matter as much between the B58. It matters a lot less.
Like kind of tightens.
Yeah, because ultimately the block is similar. Like
it's still different.
Yes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's yeah, but like I think the S58 is better. The electronic wise, we talked about, that is better because you have the 10 stage worth of traction control from factory. That was great. I mean, on track at Autobahn, I remember just playing with it the first few days. I tried to go completely off and it was a little bit leery, and then you start dialing in a little bit more and you realize the car starts working with you. And once you find your sweet spot as a driver, what you like, and the car just kind of works with you, find that slip angle and just hold the slip angle the entire way and then just let you do your thing as a driver on the braking and, a little bit of just finding the line. It makes things easier to be consistent.
But on the other side, like, because we're being, back on developing some stuff for the Supra, as you can see in the back, the Supra is the one that lived, not the M2 for...
Oh, this is episode 1. Nobody knows that we've been developing stuff on the Supra. I guess. Well, now we're developing stuff on the Supra.
Yeah, we're developing more stuff for the Supra. Like we haven't. Well, just to be fair, we haven't abandoned that car at all.
No.
It's just like development focus is being on the M2 for the last year, but it doesn't mean that we're completely abandoning the car. The car's on the lift. We're doing things. We're gonna let you know if
big things.
Yeah, we're doing
big things.
quite a few things, but there's quite a few things that like Toyota and BMW did really well on the Supra. There's a lot more aluminum on the chassis compared to
Compared to that,
Compared to that,
this,
so
yes.
if you look into the way, the Supra is probably the lightest 6-cylinder forced induction BMW that they built by a decent chunk.
Ever?
I don't know if it's ever because I'm not a BMW expert, but it's the lightest more than 6-cylinder forced induction BMW.
I mean, you guys let us know. Did they
by
ever,
a decent chunk of margin too.
Yeah. Did they ever make a 6-cylinder turbo that's lighter than the Supra? I don't think so. I actually don't think so.
Yeah. There's a lot more aluminum on the chassis, on the unibody side. There's a lot more plastic on the
Body panel.
Yeah. And stock to stock, the M2 is definitely a better track car. But it's also $20,000 more.
Yeah.
Almost $20,000.
Almost.
Right. So what you expect?
Well, Supra's gone up in price as well. So they kind of like, you know,
there's a lot of things that, you know, people are, oh, the BMW, the M2 is so heavy. But
which it is.
But remember when we did the Supra, just like we tried to take out weight, there's only so much you can take out.
Yep.
On the M2, you actually have more room to take out compared to factory.
Yes.
The doors are steel.
Yep.
The trunk is steel.
Yep.
Interior, there's a lot more interior
There's
to take
more
out.
bits of
There's
interior,
more bits
yeah.
of interior to take out. The front end, I mean, the front is aluminum, but you can, like, there's quite a bit, like, in terms of the Supra, you can start exchanging bits into, like, composite to save weight, but there's a lot more room for it to take out an M2.
Yep.
Ultimately, yes, the M2
Which we are doing.
Yeah, ultimately, the M2 is still, like, 300 pounds heavier than the Supra.
I think we can maybe get the gap down to like maybe 200 pounds difference.
Yeah.
Like a similarly prepped.
Yeah.
Well, not similarly prepped. I think we're gonna have to do more on the M2
But
to
maybe
get it
the
closer.
200 pound on the M2 is what BMW intended, like they intentionally leave it there to open up room for the M2 CS or whatever they wanted to do with the car, if they do anything. But yeah, I personally like the M2 a lot more. Like between the two cars, if price is not a factor, I was always default to the M2.
You know what? Get up. We're gonna switch seats because I'm gonna sit on that side because that's the. I'm gonna.
Here.
Yeah. We're just gonna leave this bit in the video because he obviously liked the M2
Yeah,
so much.
I obviously like the M2. I'm not saying the Supra is a bad car by any means.
It's not. It's not. Don't, you know, because I love that thing.
Yeah.
You know, not just that car. I think I just love Supras in general because not only did it launch PhD in general, but like I was the guy who before Alex was even on board, aggressively, assertively proposed our first project car have to be the Supra. And he was very adamant. Why not the F87? Why not the F57?
Yeah, except I got roasted on the internet by, hey, this guy can't drive. I was like, yeah, thinking back on it, yeah. Okay.
F87 versus Supra. The Supra is just better. I think the Supra is just better than the F87 comp.
Yeah.
It's just, that's a hands down, don't worry about a thing. But the G87 is what we're talking about. And that got really close.
I kind of wish this car looks like F87 a little bit more.
I like the square.
That's a nicer looking car.
Yeah.
This is a better performing
See, that's
car.
my thing.
Yeah.
When you drive that thing out, like car people think, whoa, that's an M2.
Yeah.
But when you drive the Supra on the street, people go, whoa. Like everyone who's owned a Supra on the street will know. You go to a gas station. Yeah, well, is that a Supra joke? But also just like people who don't know what it is will come up like, whoa, that car is cool.
Yeah.
Because it looks the part, and I think the styling side they got it down.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Circling back, engine is better on the M2.
Yeah.
Electronics.
The two big parts just engine and electronics.
Yes.
Like, but imagine they put that drivetrain in the Supra.
They're never going to.
They never.
probably
BMW will
won't.
never allow that, but that would be magical.
I mean, even the final edition, they
Yeah,
didn't put it in.
Even like the most detuned version of the S50A with the same traction control calibration in the Supra, it will be magical.
It would. But we're not getting that.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we're getting that.
What was really funny is I think during, was it SEMA? Yeah, some of our friends at Toyota
GR,
Gazoo
yeah.
Racing, from both the Japan side and the US side, came over and did chat with Alex and I a decent chunk about the Supra, about
Like what we
think,
like on the current car, what we
didn't
didn't like on the current car,
what we would like to see.
what we'd like to see if they make
another one.
6, hopefully.
Yeah, another one.
Yeah.
It was cool. I think just talking quickly about that experience, it's cool that what we did actually means something to them, to the guys who are building these things,
You know,
designing these
my
things.
main takeaway is Toyota actually cared.
Yeah.
It's not just like, all right, let's just pump a car out there, like, you know, a lot of other companies do. They actually care. They actually cared about what people think the car should be. They actually cared.
Yep. And
about,
they didn't just come to us. They come to a lot of people about asking for opinions.
Yeah.
You know,
The main takeaway is just like they actually cared about what people actually have and use those cars, think what it is, and then what they want it to be if they get more option for improvement or a new generation, whatever. And that's really, really cool to me.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, it was a lot of like
it was a freaking
it was
half an hour long
half
conversation.
an hour, 45-minute conversation.
Easily.
And they recorded everything.
Yeah. They were asking us in Japanese English, and then we were trying to respond well, we're not trying to make fun of them, but we were using Japanese English to sometimes to respond to. Just because the hot version and best motoring, that's what we watched growing up. And
it was a very cool experience talking to the actual product
sick.
planning and engineering side of
Yeah.
GR, and then just
that
bounce idea
two
off of
idiots.
each other. Yeah.
They asked the two idiots here.
That was one of the moments like,
Oh yeah, we did something.
Yeah.
You know. Oh yeah, we did something. Circling back, I think this episode is going to be entirely full of tangents. So the chapter system won't make sense.
it won't make sense.
But it's okay. So that thing.
Like nobody's gonna watch this anyway.
Yeah, I do think, in some ways, maybe it's because I've got the good aero on this car, and we haven't had to try the.
We haven't
tried
well,
like a. Well, it's not. Oh shit! We're just gonna piss people off now.
Just look at it. Well,
Good arrow.
It's obviously because it's like single digit Fahrenheit outside, so we can really go anywhere to test it.
Yeah,
but
it's
we're
bad.
probably putting on test the M2 with the new aero soon. But
ASAP.
we'll talk about it later.
The new aero we haven't shared it on YouTube, but we did share it on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's very cool. It's very interesting. We can talk about it later. But basically, what I'm trying to find out is the Supra. Once we put the magical aero on, felt magical. Even back when it was OEM, it felt pretty magical.
We can do better.
Yes, but what I'm saying is like the M2 from factory felt pretty magical, right? And with the aero on, with the verse, that we developed, the kind of like the street spec version aero on, felt pretty good.
But it felt really good. But
it wasn't magical.
The problem is at that point when we started M2 is like it's really not fair because the Supra is always a street class, street mod car. When we started it, it was battled against Subarus, Evos, mostly Subarus and Evos.
Yeah, and we got tired of beating those.
It's more like what's up front there, right? Supra is proven, but you really don't want to race an M2. You want to aim for the bigger fish, right? That's why for the M2 we went up a class.
Went to limited and track mod, yeah.
Now we're basically battling against like actually built track car, supercars, and sometimes even hypercars now, right?
Yeah.
And that was always the idea. So it was like even when we had the Verse kit, it was great, but it wasn't enough to bridge the gap between a production
sports car,
like two-door coupe,
to a supercar,
to a carbon tub or like a built GT3 RS in a lot of time.
Yep.
So that's one of the reasons that a lot more development needs to happen, and that led to a bunch of things, a lot of purchase lately. So we'll show off when all the purchases.
We spent so much.
We spent way too much money in the last few weeks.
And from now to April is going to see a whole host of change. It won't be the same car as you saw at PRI, SEMA, and definitely not like what you saw at Laguna. So
it's going to look very similar to as is right now.
Look, but it's not the look that matters.
Yeah,
it's what's under the hood.
Yeah, it's going to be like a little bit of everything.
Yep.
Again, off season. So we're going to try to use like the 4 months to do a little bit of everything.
Okay, let's get back to topic.
Okay.
Which is, which one is better? You've talked
for
about
me,
engine.
it's still M2.
You've talked about stability control.
Yeah,
electronics.
Yeah.
I think the braking system is interesting and is worth talking about. So one of the key differences, this is still hydraulic. Hydraulic
it's still more
braking?
traditional. Yes.
That's brake by wire.
Completely brake by wire, which means your paddle actually doesn't physically have any hydraulic connection to your braking system.
Yes. And it makes for an interesting experience, shall we say.
Yeah.
I think the best way, the Supra doesn't have the best brake pedal, okay?
Yep.
Supra already doesn't have the best brake pedal.
If anything, the M2 is probably slightly worse. It genuinely, the biggest problem is just way too soft, especially when you put a lot of grip onto the car. You literally need to use the wheel and your left foot to brace against yourself. So when you're heavily decelerating, your body weight doesn't cause you to slam into the brake a
extra
little bit more.
pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
it's harder to modulate because of how light it is.
It's harder to, like, it's actually good for a street car. It's almost unusable for a track car.
Yes, I think.
But you know what I mean when you try to go in hard, but you almost need to use your other leg to kind of brace yourself.
I know.
Just so you don't accidentally.
Yeah.
Because the G-force of the deceleration, you don't accidentally push down the.
With the harnesses is better, so your body isn't like whoa fly. But like I left a brake in that car religiously, and I still know I have to very be very gentle with how deep I go. And it's not about how much force you push on the brake pedal. It's almost like how deep you go, and that goes back to your Logitech freaking argument again, which is
because I almost feel like it's not the braking system doesn't respond like a low cell responds to load. No, that is more like it responding to a stroke.
Yeah, distance.
Yeah, but the problem is it still stiffens a little bit when you get down to it, but it's not nearly enough. And people say, "Oh, why did you try the comfort mode and the sport mode in the brake pedal?" Trust me, it doesn't do anything to the feedback. It really, what it ultimately do is, it's like your throttle, your comfort throttle and the sport throttle. It only changes how aggressive it ramps up. So in some ways, the sport mode might be slightly worse because it ramps a little bit more aggressively. But the comfort mode, you'll be like pressing to it way too long. So it doesn't matter which.
And it's not confidence inspiring.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter which setting you're in. It's just weird. The harder you drive the car, the weirder it becomes.
Yep.
So that's the only big problem I have with the car. Like it's not a problem whatsoever if you're being reasonable, just use it on the street or even on like mountain roads and everything. It doesn't bother me at SR. But when you're like 1.1, 1.2 G decelerating into your braking zone from 160,
it's harder to be consistent.
It's weird.
Let's talk about the next bit, which is we'll spend a lot of time talking about brakes. I feel like that's the two biggest issue we have with both of these cars actually. We'll talk about ice mode. Ice mode happens quite a bit on these things, both of these cars, regardless if you have the brake-by-wire or not. If anything, it happens more often to me on the Supra than it did on the M2. Ice mode, for those who don't understand what it is when you get to a braking zone, you stomp heavily on the brake pedal, and then the brakes kind of fight back to you. It's kind of like ABS, but it's not. It's pushing back against you, but somehow the car's not slowing down. So you try to inherently step on the brake harder, but the car's just slowing down less and less and less, and next thing you know, you kind of overshot the corner. I don't think it's as bad as the Camaros, but it's still an issue.
I've driven Camaro, but I've never pushed a Camaro to that extreme.
Well, yeah, but I've seen Camaros just like torpedo people off of apexes because the car just won't stop. I don't think these are that bad. Neither of them are that bad, but I do get the trigger on the Supra more often, which could be a combination between us running a BBK at the front on the Supra and an OEM rear, and versus where this one is the kind of completely stock brake system. Yeah. Braking number 3, which is the actual brakes themselves. I think the M2 has one of the stupidest, most crazy brakes you can have compared to any car really.
For like factory brakes, they are insanely good.
Yeah, we're no
longer power.
Stocking power and reliability.
Yep.
They are great because the pad's yay big, bigger than an iPhone, and whereas you compare to Supra, it's about this size.
Yep.
Yeah, the Supra is about this size, and the M2 is about this size.
Yep.
And once you have that much more heat capacity, heat sink, and the rotors are bigger. All right, well, Alex goes and actually gets some brake pads so you guys can see. That's the small brakes. Nobody uses small. Oh, God, don't.
So
this is your, what people
use.
This is your
This is your Stop Tech.
Yeah, this is your StopTech ST40.
ST40.
Like BBK pads.
Like basically, this is probably equivalent size to Subaru Evo from Brembo.
Yeah. This is
factory Supra.
Yeah. Factory BMW. it's hilarious. So. Yeah, no, that.
This is a 14 Max.
This is a 13 Pro Max. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a Pro.
It's literally physically small, like larger than a Pro Max. So that's why we haven't needed to upgrade the brakes on the M2 because even the DTC, even not the DTC, STR60 is still gonna be like a chunk smaller than the factory brake pads. It just doesn't make sense to upgrade it because then your BBK is a SBK. It's a small brake kit. Dude, the
first time I saw that, I was like, this is hilariously big.
Telephones in the 90s, like literally mobile phones in the 90s are smaller than this.
Comically big for a brake pad.
It is heavy. It's heavy.
And it's like thick too.
Yeah, it's Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we really like the stock system on the M2. I think it's one of the
So the pad lasts us like a year.
Yeah, it's really good road brakes.
Yeah.
For caliper stopping power, it's fucking fine. After we talked about brakes.
Yeah.
Wheels and tires is kind of inconsequential. I feel like
they
the two
fit about the same.
they
amount
fit
of
about the
tire.
same because
Yeah.
you can pretty much put a 305 squared 19x11 setup on the Supra
And on the M2.
and on the M2. And if you really want to, you can drop the M2 to 18x11. We don't recommend it because we feel like the tire sizes are limited and you don't have a lot of tall 18-inch tires. Because this factory
They
tire
also run to a lot more sideways, like the
sidewall flex.
sidewall flex, unless you're running slicks on 18s.
Yes.
Then that's only
Yes.
when 18 makes sense. But also you gotta be very careful because not every 18-inch clears the brake.
Yep.
You need to have like a really motorsport oriented 18-inch to be able to clear that brake, which actually is kind of tricky to find. It's not like the majority of the 18-inch out there does not clear that brake.
Yep. What else? Wheels and tires about the same. Suspension options are about the same.
Yeah.
Factory damper wise, though. Factory damper wise, this
the
is better.
M2 is just way better calibrated.
Yeah, because this feels a little bit soft.
Yeah.
A little bit like whoa,
Yeah.
wallowy. Like even if you upgrade like HKS springs and whatever springs, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't fix the issue.
Yeah.
Whereas that, if you put it under track mode, it feels like track mode. Okay, if you have to pick one.
I still got. It's always gonna be M2. But actually, what's stupid? If it's one that I like for like a phone car I live with, F87 CS.
Do you really like the F87 CS that much compared to even this?
I have this already.
No. If you have to get if just one, like if you're a viewer watching this video
Yeah.
and you get to pick one car to buy.
GT3 RS.
No. Fuck off.
All right, you can leave it there. Cut.
No. We have to. No, we're not cutting. We have to get to the final answer. If you have to do one car and just say like 25% street, 75% track.
Between the two,
Yeah.
it's always gonna be M2.
Fuck. Yeah.
It's just for me. It's just
I
like,
can't
it's just
choose.
the M2.
I physically cannot choose. 'Cause I love that car so much.
I love that car too.
Like there was a point in my life where I was seriously considering what if I just buy another one and just have that as a street car.
No, but the thing is, like knowing what we know, we can actually say if you buy a $50,000 like new enough one, we put like 10, 15 grand in it, you can make it like does 90% of what that car does.
Yes.
And it will look better because
Yes.
OEM that car looks like really, really bad.
Yes.
I mean, it also shows your personality because you're choosing to put the bits on it. You're just gonna have as much fun on the track as that one.
Arguably more because I feel like seating position is slightly better.
It's probably gonna be
a little
better
bit
in
lower.
like it's probably better in like canyon runs and relatively smaller track. Like I said,
It's a better sports car.
Yeah.
It's a better sports car.
Yeah.
But it's not a better sports car doesn't translate to it gives you a better maybe possibly driving experience on a daily basis, but it doesn't necessarily
you
translate to a
sacrifice a
faster
lot
lap
of
time.
usability, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but you do get a little bit more fun and everything out of it.
I guess that's the video.
That's a video.
That's the video. No, we're not.
Thank you. If you got this
Yes.
far, thank you for watching this video that
Thank
probably
you.
nobody gonna watch.
Episode 1 of the Ding Fling. Which one would you choose? Feel free to leave your comments in the comments below. And also, if you have topics that you would like Alex and I to go over and discuss and Ding Fling around about, let us know. Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you all next week.
Maybe.
See you all next week.
Maybe next week. Maybe,
Yeah.
no.
Maybe not. We'll
Maybe
try to do it more often.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We'll see you all
See you
next
next time.